Hey, John.
Hey Eric, how you doing tonight?
Oh, doing well. How are you?
You know, doing okay, doing okay. It was a lovely evening today. I had after dinner, I went and took my iPad, sat out on the back porch for a little while until my alarm rang and said, "You got to go to a meeting." And I was like, "Oh crap, I forgot." So hey, but
Ah,
it was a nice evening.
yeah, which is not been common so far this year.
Oh my gosh,
It
this
is
year is the worst.
insanely wet this year.
Yes, it has been raining.
I was reading something. It was 48 days since April 1st. There has been some measurable amount of rainfall. So that's not like just a little sprinkle. It's a measurable amount of rainfall has happened for 48 out of, what would that be? 60 plus days so far, 65, 70 days. 2/3 of the spring has been rain.
I felt so bad last weekend. I guess it was Friday night, was the high school graduation, which
Yeah,
they did outside in the stadium.
it's now a thing.
Is it a thing? Is that what it is?
That's what happened last year for my daughter. It rained on them. And last year they told the kids that they couldn't bring umbrellas and they couldn't wear something over themselves. So they all had their caps.
Cardboard cap.
Cardboard caps were all drooping over their heads. They were soaked through. I think the district in the school changed their minds this year and said, you may bring jackets and umbrellas and yeah. But yeah, I did see it was very wet.
This was maybe we played parental hooky maybe a little bit in the sense that both my boys were playing in the band and
right.
So we dropped them off. We said, "Do a good job, boys," and then we went out to dinner. and
they got soaked, and you got something to eat.
Couple hours later, we came back, and that was pretty funny. Yeah,
nice.
I felt a little bad. Not really. I shouldn't lie. My older boy.
We thought about feeling bad.
Yeah, I thought about feeling bad, but then I decided against it. No, my last minute, since it was going to be raining, the band director said that my older boy wouldn't have to play because he plays upright bass, and
right.
you don't do that out in the rain. And even though I think they had some kind of tent of some sort, but we still he went and helped the percussion, and
got it.
You're still a member of the band. You still got to go and contribute, even if you get a hall pass for this particular thing. Anyway, but that was Friday night. It was pretty fun. But yeah,
fun.
Yeah.
Well,
so
in my continuing saga of not being able to avoid bees, I ended up helping build these bee boxes. I don't remember the name of them. There's a specific name. You probably know the name.
They're long something. The
Longstrom, they're something like that. Yeah. But they're these bee boxes. So a neighbor kid is doing his eagle project and asked my boy, and my boy's been helping build these over the last several weekends. And the dad said, hey, could you come help us move these? Because they're making the boys build them, right?
Okay.
Can you come help speed this along a little bit? So I went over and helped, supervise and make sure we're drilling holes, screwing screws in the right spaces, etc. But they did a great job. They did a great job. So
okay,
I spent the weekend building bee boxes for your
tools?
Tualatin Valley Beekeepers Association. Actually,
that's right. I saw something in the newsletter.
Yeah, that's the group, and there'll be 5 of these long boxes. Yeah, we got the plans and everything from the TVBA. They sponsored it. There was a lumber store that not donated, but sold the wood at his cost.
Okay.
So, and
good discount.
Yeah. So, because it's a special kind of wood and special kind of paint, and like the insides were waxed, and anyways, they're actually really cool. They were fun to build, especially when you have the right tools.
The insides are waxed.
That's what I think. It's not just raw wood. It's coated with something. It looked like wax to me.
Huh. Okay.
On the insides. And then that's where you slide in all the frames, and there's holes between the two sides because it looks like two B boxes side by side, but there's holes in the middle so they can move in between.
With little round things you can close.
Yes, little things you can close, and then the top is where the supers go, and there's a roof on it that they're going to put corrugated steel or corrugated plastic on to keep. A roof lifts up and down to keep them out in the rain. I don't know. They're super fancy.
Yeah, those are cool. I should have, if I'd thought about it, I should have told them that they could build a 6th and I'd pay for it or something. I don't know, but whatever.
I don't know who TVBA is giving them to, or if it's part of their, it's for them somehow.
There was something said in the newsletter, but I don't remember it. But anyway. But so you had a good tools to actually build these with? Yeah.
Yeah, we went to a guy's house who had all the woodworking stuffs.
Okay.
It's in Oregon, where nobody uses their garage for a garage. Everybody uses their garage for a workshop. This guy had every tool imaginable in his workshop.
There you
AKA his garage. So, yeah, it was fun.
That's cool. All right. Good. That's awesome. I actually helped a friend of ours set up his new sawmill. I think I forget if I mentioned that last
you did.
Week or not, but it was really cool.
John's Christmas list now just grew another line.
There is no reason that I need to buy myself a sawmill. There is no reason, especially since I now have a friend that has one. But it was really cool. And I don't know, I got to help with the easy part, I guess, because the previous weekend he said that they had spent hours. I think he said 4 hours putting all the sort of head and the actual sawmill itself together. So when I got up there, all we had to do was it took a bit of time, but we had to put the rails down and get them all leveled, which took a while. Get them all tightened down and leveled.
Is he doing this in his shop?
And he did it on the out. He has a concrete pad out in front of his shop.
Oh, okay.
And actually, I might have mentioned it on the podcast. I helped him pour it a couple of years ago.
Right.
And which was fun. That was another cool thing. And then, so I don't know. So there was enough space between the doors to the shop and where he set it up that he could drive. He has a Bobcat that he drove in and then lifted up the whole head, because that's what rides back and forth on the rail. So he had to lift that up with the Bobcat and then set it down on the rails and get it all squared and leveled and all tightened down and then adjusting the whole saw. There was a whole bunch of procedures for getting the belt tensioned and getting things so that they were level and then we sawed some logs. It was cool. And that's not a euphemism.
I take it that was literally. You didn't go take a nap.
Yeah, that's not a euphemism. There's no laughing at that. This is deadly serious.
Like all of our podcasts, very serious.
But yeah, that was totally cool. So, minor B update while I'm talking in this intro bit that my first 3 attempts to raise a queen have all 3 failed. So
Aww.
I am whatever the potential colony number I could have been up to is now 3 less.
Okay.
So, and my 4 grafts I get to check this coming weekend.
Okay.
So my fingers are crossed, but my hopes are not high because this appears to be a disappointing.
Is it weather related? I mean, is it because it's not been warm enough for them to?
I don't know.
Propagate?
It certainly could be, in the sense that the queen needs to be able to fly like within a week after hatching and emerging, and there the weather's been pretty terrible. So
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll have to see.
I'm going to pull this one forward. Did you know that the state of California has ruled that bees are fish?
Excuse me?
California's endangered species law does not include insects. And so a group went to court to get bees included under the law's definition of fish.
You keep using that word. I do not think it means what you think it means.
So here's what they did, right? There is no separate conservation endangered law in California that includes insects of any kind, and that's what a bee is.
And there's some really endangered bumblebees in California.
And so because an endangered species is a native species or subspecies of a bird, mammal, fish, amphibian, reptile, or plant, that same definition treated for threatened species and candidate species. And the Agricultural Association argued that because the definition doesn't specifically include insects or invertebrates being animals without backbone, the commission can't list bees for protection. But the commission then argued that the state's Fish and Game Code, as defined, includes a fish is defined as a wild fish, mollusk, crustacean, invertebrate, or amphibian. And since bees are invertebrates, then the commission can protect bees under the law that it can protect fish. So California is not saying bees are fish.
But they are saying they're invertebrates.
Law is saying they're invertebrates, and the Fish and Game can protect them using the Endangered Species Act under the classification of a fish, because the classification of a fish includes invertebrates.
That's
funny.
Interesting. That's I mean
the things that cross my feed because of bees.
I think that is hilarious.
Yeah. So there you go.
That is hilarious. Thank you for pulling that forward. You made my night. Oh, that is funny. Yeah.
Anywho.
Well, we'll see what happens.
I'm looking forward to seeing your colonies of fish.
They're flying fish.
Flying fish.
That's funny. All right, man. How about a topic? What'd you bring me tonight?
All right. So I stumbled across, we've had Meltdown and Spectre and all these hardware things, and Apple has their M1 chips, which ARM-based chips. Some security researchers at MIT have found a way to use a similar hardware attack and go after the Apple M1 chips. And the flaw, theoretically, could give the bad actors full access to the core operating system kernel and be able to do lots of bad stuff. So the article is also very insistent that, before you go too crazy about this, there is a lot of stuff that has to go right for this. This is more theoretical than it is practical. In theory, this will work.
If you were a high-value target, a government might be willing to
Possibly.
deploy these sorts of resources if they
to figure
had
this
access
out.
to your device.
Yeah. And so the tool, they didn't have a website, and I didn't see one, but it's
You're cracking me up because one of my topics today has a website.
it's called Pac-Man, and what it is the Apple's M1 chip uses something called pointer authentication, so that it can detect and guard against unexpected changes. So this is a good thing, what they're doing. And this pointer authentication code checks for unexpected changes in the attack, and then it uses a cryptographic hash as a signature when it decides a program is safe. Well, one of the things the researchers discovered is that this Pac-Man attack, they're calling...
Oh, come on. That logo draws itself.
I know. I know. It guesses the value of the pack using a hardware device. So software is not going to fix the problem. And while there can be many different possible values for that hash from the pointer authentication code, a device can reveal whether that guess is correct or false, and you can crank through those as fast as your hardware device can. It won't leave any trace.
How are they reading the pack in the first place?
That is the trick here, is there needs to be some kind of, let me see, what did it say? There needs to be an existing memory corruption bug. So something on the system already has to have some kind of memory corruption. So well-developed programs, you would have to get something that causes a memory corruption failure to even be able to get started with it. So, like I say, it's multi-step. So there are a lot of things up front that have to happen first for this to work.
But a theoretical vulnerability.
Yeah. And so there you go. And this feature is a security feature that is also available for Qualcomm or Samsung ARM devices, which they are either shipping or about to ship processors using the same similar security feature. So
interesting.
The researchers also outlined some methods for how to prevent it in the future. I'm sure this will be figured out kind of the same way the Spectre vulnerabilities are solved.
Sure.
So anyways, there you go.
And I assume that's also in the M2.
I would assume so too. They didn't test the M2 yet because it just came out, but in theory, yes, it's still there. So there you go.
Okay.
That's my article for this week.
That's a good one. So that's funny. That's funny. Okay. Well, I brought two, one of which is a real and one of which is also kind of a theoretical vulnerability. Proven to work, but it probably not something to lose any sleep over.
Right.
But so this first one, but both of them have names. Just saying. Although I think only the second one has a logo and a website. But the first vulnerability they call Synlapse because it was a vulnerability in the Azure Synapse Analytics service, and this seemed like it was a brutal one. So, I'm not a big Azure user. I've poked around a little bit. I know you've done more than me, but I wasn't familiar with this Synapse service. But it looks as if it's essentially a way to aggregate different data sources, and you can go collect data and pull it together and then join them. So anyway, so this says Orca security researcher Zapahima, I probably mispronounced that, but sorry, is credited with discovering Synapse, a critical Synapse Analytics vulnerability in Microsoft Azure, also affecting Azure Data Factory. It permitted attackers to bypass tenant separation. So that's one of the problems. So this is clearly, they had multiple tenants on one device. It could obtain credentials to other customer accounts, control their Azure Synapse workspaces, execute code on targeted customer machines, leak customer credential files to data to outside of Azure, process. So they they had a rough time getting this through Microsoft to fix. It sounds like it took more than 100 days to get a final fix. They deployed 3 patches, the first 2 of which were bypassed again, and the certificate to the internal control server, which one of the things they were able to do was actually get onto Microsoft's control server, was revoked after 96 days. So, evidently this started was disclosed initially to Microsoft on January 4th. It says, along with the keys and certificates they were able to extract. So I presume that that's the certificate that was not revoked until 96 days later. But, and then it wasn't actually repaired until the end of May. So basically almost 5 months. So let's see. This article is really cool because they actually go through some details on how they discovered it. And the root was shell injection in a SAML plugin, an authentication plugin that is basically supposed to go run and launch a browser. But if the command was able to be injected, they could run commands of their own, and then they basically got a shell on the box, and then so that was the first part, and that was through a vulnerable. Let's see. This could be exploited when setting up an external data source using the following malicious ODBC connection string. So basically, they created a connection string to connect to Amazon Redshift, but where the connection string includes, it's everything's little Bobby tables, right? Where login URL is exit pipe. Who am I pipe, and then set up a tunnel to their control server. So that was getting onto the system in the first place, and then they were able to say, okay, so how do you get onto another instance? Mm-hmm. So so this was the thing. So it says. If you perform the same request but change the name of the integration runtime from their own integration runtime, which is their own self-hosted one, to another one, it worked. So they basically were able to move laterally. And then let's see, they were running as so it says their last thing is, so they're running as NT Authority system, and they said they're in a process. They said our code is executed in a process called taskexecutor.exe, and so he dumped its memory using procdump, and they had plain text credentials and tokens belonging to multiple companies inside the memory of this task executor. So it's basically using some sort of shared process that has creds for a whole bunch of companies that are multi-tenant service,
Right.
including, it said, a token to Microsoft's own account in another data analytics service. So,
oops.
Yeah. Anyway, then they were able to get that it says the shared integration runtime contained a client certificate that was used for authentication in front of an internal management server. So the client auth, the certificate for client auth could be extracted, and then it says that the quote, the management server can do much, much more than just show the integration runtime's configuration data. The server API permitted querying other integration runtimes and other workspaces, as well as obtaining the Synapse workspace identities belonging to other customer accounts. The latter opens the door to performing almost every action imaginable in any customer's Azure Synapse workspace. Right? So they basically got the golden key with a client certificate from what was supposed to be Microsoft's trusted service that could run commands against, any customer's environment.
Right.
So this bug was worth a $60,000 bug bounty.
High five.
And yeah. So anyway, very cool write-up talking through everything that they did. Really, really, really good find.
Fun logo.
Honestly, that needs more than $60,000. I think. the S in Synapse.
Yeah.
Yeah, that looks pretty cool. Yeah, I'll have to maybe I'll put that as the logo for this part of this chapter. Okay, my second one that also has a cool logo is called Hertzbleed, and they got www.hertzbleed.com, and it also has a cool logo. Kind of
that's HERTZ, not HURTS.
Yes.
All right.
Hertz as in 1 over
clock.
X. How many cycles do you get per second?
Right.
Because this is the vulnerability that is more on the theoretical side. I mean, legit, they proved it and they showed it against Intel processors, AMD processors, etc. But the practicality of it is, we'll see. But it relies on the modern CPU architecture's features of dynamic scaling, meaning that, it takes a different amount of time to compute, 1 plus 12 than it does to compute 1 plus 13, hypothetically.
Okay.
So if you can time what the CPU is doing to a fine-grained enough bit, you can basically have a side channel to extract what is being computed. And they proved that they could do this with extracting a ciphertext. It says Hertzbleed. This says Hertzbleed is a real and practical threat to the security of cryptographic software. We have demonstrated how a clever attacker can use a novel chosen ciphertext attack against Cyc to perform full key extraction via remote timing, despite Cyc being implemented as constant time. So Cyc is a post-quantum proposed cryptographic ciphertext or cryptographic algorithm, and constant time, meaning that it should take the same amount of time regardless of, its inputs. But if the processor is dynamically scaling based on the operations actually being performed, and you can watch it closely enough, you can actually then extract what the math operations were and work backwards. So there is a link to the research paper, and it says that the Hertzbleed paper will appear at the 31st Usenix Security Symposium in August, but they've got sort of the preprint here.
Right.
I pulled out a few other kind of bits because it says that they've got a FAQ on the page, but is Hertzbleed a bug? And no, because Hertzbleed is the root cause of Hertzbleed is dynamic frequency scaling, a feature of modern processors which is used to reduce power consumption during low CPU loads and to ensure the system stays below power and thermal limits. So, we're pushing the CPUs really hard these days, and we want, performance per watt. One of the big ways that that's being done is, the CPU scales back. If it's not running full throttle, it can scale back and go a little bit slower. And if it is running full throttle and it's getting too hot, then they need to be able to slow it down. And
right.
So this has had a very long disclosure timeline. The answer to when did you disclose Hertzbleed was they said they disclosed their findings together with proof of concept code to Intel, Cloudflare, and Microsoft in Q3 of 21 and AMD in Q1 of 22. And Intel originally requested that they hold their findings under embargo until May of 22, and then they negotiated an extension to June 14th. So that's why it came out
today.
Oh, today's the 14th. Yes. Okay. And so there you go. That's why this is released. And that Intel and AMD do not plan to deploy microcode patches because it would have significant repercussions to their performance and thermal behavior. But they do say that Intel provided guidance to mitigate Hertzbleed in software. So I assume that, and I don't know what those specific guidances are. So there's a link. You're welcome to follow this. I did not this evening when I was clicking through this, but I guess I'm assuming that there's some way that they can essentially block and ask for no changes to be made with regard to the CPU performance for a block of time in some way, fashion.
Right.
But both Intel and AMD have security advisories posted. And then I thought that you would appreciate this as the final fact that I pulled out. Do we really need another vulnerability logo?
I saw that.
And they're like, well, we know some of you don't like vulnerability logos, but we really like our logo, and we hope you do too.
Yeah.
And it is. It's cool. It's kind of a
stopwatch.
Oh, I don't have it. Yeah, it's or a clock with broken hands is what I was thinking, and also kind of the it's obviously a callback to Heartbleed with the little
it's dripping blue
drips.
Yeah.
So
there you go.
Anyway, there you go. I thought that was a fun thing.
All right.
For today.
Well, my something fun is a dumb little game which you heard me playing while you were getting set up. So go ahead and click on the link.
Okay. All right.
I don't know if you've seen this before, but this is hilarious. Basically, you're a runner, and you're trying to make this character run, and you control the thighs and the calves. That's all you control, and it's gravity based, physics based. So it tries to match physics, and so You can try running.
I don't think I know. So what does that mean? I control thighs and calves?
Yes. So just start tapping your...
Oh, and he's fallen.
Yes.
Everyone is a winner. I don't think so. All right.
Anyways, I thought it was hilarious, and I spent way too much time earlier today, and then while I was waiting for you, trying to make this character run.
How does he run?
I got 13 meters. That was my longest distance.
Oh, well, 0.7. I fell forward that time.
And mostly I got 13 meters because I figured out how to make him hobble on his knees. So before he fell completely over. So anyways, it's just a dumb web game, and it's got ads on the side. You know, it's probably stealing my data for something somewhere, but
oh my gosh.
I laughed so hard trying to do this for a half an hour. It's called
how I don't understand. Like, how are you supposed to do anything here?
Yeah, it's called, apparently if you get the right rhythm, it's a rhythm game. You get the Q, W, and the OP, and you get the rhythm right, you can make the legs work properly. I spent a half an hour, could not figure out how to get the rhythm right. But like I said, I got 13 meters. So, and I just fell over backwards.
Okay. I'm hopping on my
a one knee.
Hopping on the one knee. Hopping on the one knee.
That's how I got 13 meters.
I'm at 2.3 meters. Hopping on the one knee. Oh no! Don't do the splits. Hopping on the one knee. 3.8. 4 meters. 4 meters. Come on, you can go. You can do it. You can do it. Okay. All right. Well, this is totally... I'm not sure this is fun. That seems more frustrating than fun.
Yes. But I laugh. Yeah. Anyways, that's my dumb little something fun for this week is, like I said, a goofy little web game, which physics-based, which it's so simple, but it was very annoying. It's called QWOP because those are the keyboard characters you tap to move left and right thigh and left and right calf.
Okay.
Anyways, there you go.
That's pretty funny.
It's
all right, dude.
Something frustrating.
I'm gonna close that tab right now.
Yeah. Well, my something fun was the bees, but I pulled the bees up in California.
Okay. Well,
I pulled the bees up into the opening since we were talking bees already.
That qualifies as fun. That totally qualifies as fun. All right.
All right.
Well, since we're talking of, sort of, we talked critters. I kind of have two something funs because they weren't like really any like big things. But did you see the news today about the internet outage in Canada?
No.
Yeah. The headline is Single Beaver Causes Mass Internet Cell Service Outages in Northern BC.
The only thing beavers do down here is ruin trails.
Yeah.
Flood trails.
Yeah. Well, exactly. Those damn beavers.
That's right.
So it says officials now identified a beaver as the cause of a June 7th outage, which left many residents of northwestern BC without internet, landline, or cell service for more than 8 hours. The beaver gnawed its way through an aspen tree, which then fell on both BC Hydro lines and a TELUS fiber optic cable line strung along BC Hydro poles between Topley and Houston. The resulting power outage affected just 21 customers, but the fiber optic damage affected TELUS customers and then a whole bunch of cities.
I was wondering, did the beaver chew through the cable? How's the beaver? But I guess the beaver chopped down a tree, and that tree caused the problem.
Took out the fiber optic line. Yeah,
I feel less sorry for the beaver now.
Yeah, well, he's
doing his job, chopping down trees.
I've heard of sharks like biting undersea cables.
Right.
I've heard of excavator accidents. There was the thing in Paris where it looked like somebody took a few weeks ago where it looked like somebody took a saw to a whole bunch of boxes.
Yeah.
That was more malicious than sort of accidental stuff, but yeah. Anyway, so I thought that was funny, and they've got kind of a creepy picture of a beaver on this.
Them are very orange teeth on that beaver. I is that like, do beavers actually have pumpkin orange teeth?
I don't know.
I
don't
think
know.
So, but
I think his whiskers look kind of orange too, though. So maybe it's a
Photoshop.
It's a color balance.
Color balance. They messed it up.
I don't know.
Yeah, because his teeth are very orange.
I'll put it as the background here as the image. So if anybody wants to go look at the chapter art, it'll be this weird beaver. Okay. So that was just the first like minor fun thing, because that was very funny, if not fun.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second thing is a link to I know you know who Jamie Zawinski is.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a blog post on his blog that is a link to a Apple patent that is about Face ID and essentially using your blood vessels beneath the skin to identify you. So the the title of the blog post is "The Flesh You Wear Is a Lie You Tell the World. Apple can see your true face." Not that this is what Face ID does, I don't think, but more that it is a patent filing for vein matching for difficult biometric authentication cases.
Wow. So
anyway, I just thought, okay, this is actually kind of cool. But it says subepidermal images of the user may be used to assess subepidermal features such as blood vessels when the device is attempting to authenticate the user. The subepidermal features may be compared to templates of subepidermal features for an authorized or enrolled user of the device. Assessment of subepidermal features during the facial recognition authentication process may be useful in distinguishing between users that have closely related facial features, for example, siblings or twins. In addition, assessment of subepidermal features may be used to prevent unlocking the device by an unauthorized user wearing a mask or using another face replication method. So there you go.
That is like your whole face is a fingerprint now.
Your face is your fingerprint. There you go. Okay.
Okay. That's creepy.
I also liked this also was a little creepy, but the flesh you wear is a lie you tell the world. Okay. That's, I guess, at one level.
I suppose so.
Anyway, I thought that was cool. There you go. That's my something fun.
Lots of creepy fun today.
and perhaps less practical threats, but all with cool names.
Yeah,
we have Pac-Man, Hurts Bleed, and what was that? Synlapse.
Yeah, which
there you go. We didn't even plan that. 3 for 3, and we didn't even plan it. Okay.
Great minds, or whatever the saying is.
Something like that.
All right, John.
All right, my friend.
Have a good night.
All right. I'll talk to you later, Eric.
Bye.
Bye.